And when a mess becomes a master, you now have a message that if you market to the masses, you can make millions. So it's like a rocket ship. When I talk about the breakthrough and that rocket ship takes off, there's all kind of combustion, all kind of energy. But guess what? If you've seen it on television, it's moving very slowly. Matter of fact, you feel like you can almost reach out and touch it. Now, if the rocket ship were human, it'd say something like this: I'm doing all this work, I'm giving out all this energy, and nothing seems to be happening. I'm like barely moving. But a rocket ship's not human. It doesn't go based off its emotions. It goes based off its programming. See, the program. So guess what? It just continues to do what it was designed to do. And after a while, it starts gaining momentum. It starts going faster and faster and faster until, watch this, my friend, it's traveling 25,000 miles per hour. And now it is hitting escape velocity. Now, they tell me right when this rocket ship is hitting escape velocity, it's about to leave the Earth's atmosphere. When it does that, it starts rotating wildly, shaking wildly as if it's about to be broken to pieces. And if a rocket ship could speak, I could hear it say something like, "Hey, my goodness, I've been doing all these things that they told me to do. This is not working. Now I'm doing everything I can do, and I'm about to be shaking. I'm shaking to pieces. I'm never going to make it." But a rocket ship, not human, doesn't go based off its emotions. It doesn't go based off its feelings. It just goes based off its programming. It does what it was designed to do. And they tell me the next instant, you can hear a big, like, pop, boom, and the rocket ship breaks through the Earth's atmosphere. Get this now, out of 1 million pounds of fuel that it uses, 95% is from takeoff to escape velocity. Once it breaks through escape velocity, once it breaks through the Earth's atmosphere, they tell me it will virtually use no more fuel for the rest of the trip. Now you got to get this now. You got to get this. So this rocket ship, again, remember when it started off, it was slow and nothing. But now, my friend, 1 million pounds of fuel, 25,000 miles per hour, my friend. And now virtually it's going to use no more fuel for the rest of the trip. And so here's what you have to understand. A breakthrough, watch this now. A breakthrough is both sudden and gradual. Write that down. It's both sudden and gradual. And here's the danger. We all love the sudden part, man. When I speak to crowds and if I give this illustration, I talk about, like, they cheer when I talk about it breaking through the Earth's atmosphere. Like, yeah, everybody loves that sudden breakthrough. But my friend, you have to understand this. I'm gonna tell you a secret. Lean in here. Lean in. Come on, lean in here with me. Without the gradual breakthrough, there's no sudden breakthrough. So guess what? The breakthrough didn't happen suddenly. The breakthrough started when it took off, when it seemed like it wasn't working. Do you understand now why you have to have the right mindset? Do you understand now why I keep talking about you got to recondition your mind and clean your mind? Because if your mind's not right, my friend, you will throw in the towel when you're still a mess. You'll throw in the towel thinking there's no hope for me. You'll throw in the towel saying, man, I've tried all this stuff, but it's not working. And I'm telling you, my friend, I am telling you, you are going through the process that every single master went through. The problem is they didn't stop there. And it's amazing too, because then when you have the rocket ship, when it breaks through the Earth's atmosphere, people have a tendency to say, oh, they're overnight success. Yeah, you should have seen me back when I was struggling, right? So, hey, again, every master was once a mess. Therefore, every mess can one day be a master. When a mess becomes a master, you now have a message that if you market properly to the masses, you can make millions. So in this breakthrough training, my friend, the first thing, if you're going to go from being a mess, who's interested? Maybe in some part of your life, you may be a mess. If you're interested in going from a mess to a master, here's the steps that you need to take. And by the way, I'm going to have you change the wording, by the way. If you feel like maybe your relationship's in a mess, or your business in a mess, or maybe your thought process in a mess, I'm going to have you start saying this. I'm going to have you start saying, I am a master in the making. I'm not a mess. Some people my business might look like a mess to some folk. My life might look like a mess. To me, it may seem like some of my relationships are a mess, but guess what? I am a master in the making. So number one, how do you go from being a mess to being a master? Number one, simple, it takes mentorship. It takes mentorship. How in the world, my friend, how in the world could they spend millions of dollars for thoroughbred horses and the first thing they do is they get a trainer for the horse? Does the horse not know how to run? Of course it does. But nothing, my friend, reaches its potential without mentorship. So the easiest, fastest, most reliable way of mastering any skill is through mentorship. And my friend, and that's, again, I applaud all of you because obviously you're part of a mentorship program. And that's what separates the men from the boys, the girls from the women. I mean, that mentorship. You see, it was Socrates that mentored Plato, and then Plato mentored Aristotle. Aristotle mentored Alexander the Great, and then it was Andrew Carnegie who mentored Napoleon Hill, who wrote the powerful book, Think and Grow Rich. Napoleon Hill mentored W. Clement Stone, and by the way, W. Clement Stone is the guy who always would say, do it now, do it now, do it. He would say 100 times a day, do it now, make all staff say, do it now. By the way, W. Clement Stone mentored a guy named Jack Canfield, who became the co-author of the billion-dollar book series, Chicken Soup for the Soul. Benjamin Graham mentored a guy named Warren Buffett, and of course, Warren Buffett has mentored millions. Dr. Benjamin Mays mentored Dr. Martin Luther King, and of course, Dr. Martin Luther King has mentored millions, and now, my friend, even today, his lectures are still heard, and in every city, there's a street named after him. It was Bill Bailey who mentored Les Brown, and by the way, Les Brown was also mentored from a distance through Martin Luther King. It was after hearing Martin Luther King speak, he said, man, I want to one day speak like that. But he got his hands-on mentoring from a guy named Bill Bailey. And of course, Les has mentored millions. And one time he spoke to over 80,000 people in the Atlanta, Georgia Dome. This guy named Bill Bailey, who also is my mentor, by the way, he also mentored Jim Rohn in the early days. And of course, you know, Jim Rohn has mentored millions, and he mentored this little guy who grew up to be this huge guy that everybody knows now named Tony Robbins. And of course, Tony has mentored tens of millions. I mean, even in the Bible, Moses mentored Joshua, and Joshua mentored 3 million Israelites. Elijah mentored Elisha, and then Elisha mentored this widow woman who started the first home-based business. She was going into debt, about to lose her children to the debtors in 2 Kings chapter 4, verses 1 through 7. And she started a business, and guess what? Paid off all the debts and lived the rest of her life off the profits and left a legacy for her children. That's all because of mentorship. You know, it was Paul that mentored young Timothy, and young Timothy who mentored the church, and then Jesus mentored disciples, said something that's very powerful. He said, the works that I do shall you do also, and greater works than these, meaning that the mentee not just can do what the mentor has done, the mentee can double what the mentee can double what the mentor has done. So again, a mentee is really a mentor in training. It's going to take mentorship. See, you want to walk with who and what you want to be like. In spite of how things look now, your day will come, my friend. You might be like this little teeny cub, right? Doesn't look like much at all, but guess what? He's going to grow. She's going to grow. And one day, my friend, be huge, but doesn't start off that way. But just keep walking with the giants because your day will come. As a matter of fact, I love a quote by Abraham Lincoln. He said, I will prepare myself and my time will come. You know, believing in yourself and in the God in you, or the mentor who believes in you until your own belief kicks in, is the first step to breakthrough success. Now, here's a couple of my mentors are both gone now, Jim Rohn and also Bill Bailey. We were both all three of us speaking at a retreat out in Montana. They decided they wanted to go see Old Faithful. And so you probably heard of Driving Miss Daisy. Well, I was driving Mr. Jim Rohn and Bill Bailey. And what incredible things that I learned and so forth, my friend. But what I found out, though, was this. A lot of when I started off, I didn't believe in myself, and God surrounded me with mentors and people that saw in me what I couldn't see in myself, and they believed in me. And listen, Nikki, I never dreamed I could do stuff. They thought I could. I knew I couldn't, but I didn't want to let them down. So I gave it a shot just because they believed, and it shocked me when it worked. And then I was like, wow. And then one day I said, wait a minute, why don't I just start believing in myself? And now I feel like I'm a debtor as I go around the country. And now through Zooms, I just got a debt. I want to believe in people that maybe haven't all the way believed in themselves, and let my belief kick into them, and they can use it for training wheels until their own belief kicks in. But I'm telling you, my friend, every master was once a mess. Therefore, every mess can one day be a master. And when a mess becomes a master, you got a message. If you market to the masses, you make millions. And the first step is mentorship. So again, I want you to get that message. Number two is a mental shift. See this road of steps going from being a mess to a master. It starts with mentorship, but then it has to be a mental shift. See, we keep coming back to mindset, don't we? It's a mental shift. See, you got to see before the mentors, we focus on who we aren't and what we can't do. And mentors have an ability to help shift your focus, not on what you don't have, but on what you do have that you can use. See, by the way, write this down. I should have put this in the slide, but it just came to me. It's not what you don't have that keeps you from being unhappy or unsuccessful. Let me say it again. It's not what you don't have that keeps you from being unhappy or unsuccessful, but rather it's what you think you need. Let me say it again. It's not what you don't have that keeps you from being happy or successful. It's not what you don't have that keeps you from being happy or successful, or makes you unhappy or makes you unsuccessful. It's only what you think you need. And the crazy thing is, most of what we think we need, people accomplish it without that thing. Like, for instance, we think we got to have all these degrees. And yet people like, Steve Jobs quit college, quit at getting the degree, and became one of the richest men in the world. Matter of fact, I got a little saying that most of the people with their, and here's what I love about home-based business, by the way, because we teach people how to get an MBA without having to go to college to get an MBA. We teach them how to get a massive bank account, MBA, without having to go to college to get a master's of business administration. Now listen, most people with their masters of business administration, their MBAs, are now suffering from another MBA. It's called mini bank account, because now they're finding out they're overqualified for a job. I mean, that was the crazy thing about me getting all these degrees, right? And I became a college professor. And man, I'm thinking I'm the poor boy from the hood, and I made it. I'm a college professor now. And I'm standing up here totally promulgating my esoteric cogitations and articulating my superficial sentimentalities with amicable and philosophical psychological observations. And beware Platonis ponderosities. And I even knew how to let my extemporaneous verbal evaporations demonstrate a clarified conciseness, no previous granity, Arjun Bombafam. And I mean, I was educated. I made it, right? And somebody said, hey, how'd you like to start making more money in a month than you make an entire year? I was like, oh, no, I ain't going back to college for nobody. 12 years of regular school, 12 years of college, graduate, postgraduate. So no. They said, no. I said, that's 24 years of my life. They said, no. It's not about going to school. We're going to mentor you, and we're going to help you have the right mental shift. Are y'all hearing me? Watch this now. And I was like, okay. And by the way, I started in the home-based business, and they weren't lying. I started making more money than I used to make an entire year as a college professor. And so it didn't happen exactly like this, but I jokingly like to tell people. So I walked into my boss and I said, boss, I can't work for you anymore. He said, Doc, why? I said, I got eye trouble. And he said, eye trouble? What's wrong with your eye? I said, I can't see myself working for you anymore. That was in 1990. I've been psychologically unemployable ever since. You know why? Because my mind shifted. Profits are better than wages. Time is not money, and money is not time. Money is money, time is time, and money, listen, my friend, is infinitely less important than time. Why? I've lost money and made it all back again, and a whole lot more. I lost my time, and I'm still looking for it. Matter of fact, Rose, if you find my time, could you tell me where it is? Because I've been looking for it for decades, Cassandra, if you find it, maybe, I mean, Trevor, maybe it's one of y'all. If you could find my time, I would gladly pay you for it. I haven't found anybody can find it yet. So listen, time is not money. Time is time, money is money, and time is infinitely more important than money. When I started getting, so a mentor is one thing, but the mentor helps you to have the mental shift. I was like, man, why would I be trading all of this whole lot of time for a little bit of somebody's money when I could produce my own profits? Man, is this good or is this, man, hold on a second. Let me, no, that's good, man. Keep talking, bro. All right, I appreciate you, man. All right, here we go. All right. I ought to be ashamed to have this much fun of my own talk. But mental shift. So again, it's not what you don't have that keeps you from being happy or successful. It's only what you think you need. And we've been programmed. Matter of fact, most people aren't people. I call them sheeple. Hello, sheeple. They just follow the crowd. They're not people, they're sheeple. They're not really thinking. They're oh man. As a matter of fact, I posted something the other day. Well, okay, let me just stay on track here. Let me stay on track. But anyway, I got a picture of a guy. There's a whole line of people, and the ones in the back are covering the eyes of the ones in front of them. And so it's like the blind leading the blind, right? That's what's happening today. And then the crazy thing about it, when you decide you're going to be an entrepreneur, when you decide, and I call it kingdompreneur, I'm a king because I do things for the kingdom, but then they look at you like you're crazy, like something's wrong with you. And even family members and people you really love the most, because they don't understand, are like, why are you taking all these chances? Why are you risking it? Well, by the way, there's a big difference between man, I'm giving y'all some stuff that ain't even part of this. So y'all, somebody in here needs it. So here we go. There's a big difference between employee mindset and entrepreneur mindset, because there's a big difference. There's something called risk. There's something called reward. Now, the employee mindset person focuses so much on the risk, they lose sight of the reward. Okay, let me say it again. You got an entrepreneur mindset, employee mindset. You got risk versus reward. The employee mindset person focuses so much on the risk, they lose sight of the reward. However, the entrepreneur person focuses so much on the reward, they're willing to deal with the risk. By the way, risk is the ledge that gives winners the edge. You always want to take a risk. You just want to make sure it's a calculated risk and that it's calculated in your favor. But again, it takes having a mental shift, because the way our minds were trained, most of us were trained by people with an employee mindset. And so they were all trying to keep us nice in the fold. I don't know about you, man. I just never fit in anywhere. And then it dawned on me, well, God made me to stand out. But if you don't have that right mental shift, you start thinking something's wrong with me. Maybe I'm doing something wrong. Well, you could quote unquote, according to sheeple, you could do it the right way and stay broke, or you can quote unquote be wrong by them and end up being rich. Right? So is this good to anybody other than me, or am I just enjoying this by myself? Okay, there we go. All right.
Amazing.
Okay, all right. Okay. So here's one of my favorites, Roger Bannister, that 4-minute mile that was supposed to be unbreakable. Matter of fact, Roger Bannister, when he broke this back in May the 6th of 1954, the doctors taught that literally it was impossible for a man to run what they called it, the sub 4-minute mile. Here's what they said. The experts said, listen now, a man's lungs would explode if he tried to run a mile in less than 4 minutes. So how in the world did Roger Bannister do it? Because he didn't believe the doctors. He didn't believe the quote unquote experts. He said, I think I can do it. And so he started training based off his belief. He had a mental shift. I'm not going to think like everybody else thinks. I'm going to think differently. Well, what if I can do it? What if it does work? What if my lungs don't explode? And what if I break this record? And he shattered it. 3 minutes and 59.4 seconds. He did that, broke that record that had been held for literally thousands of years. And guess what? 46 days after he did it, his record was broken. And then they just started breaking the record. They tell me today, high school students, if you can't run a sub 4-minute mile, you're considered almost slow. You see, my friend, you got to have that breakthrough mentality. So here's what I tell people. We'll cover it. Let me hear this. So everything worthwhile that's ever been done is declared impossible by someone else before it was done. Thus, you must have a breakthrough mentality, a breakthrough mentor, and learn breakthrough methods. See, See, with a breakthrough mentality, mentor, and methods, nothing on earth can stop you. Without a breakthrough mentality, without a breakthrough mentor or methods, nothing on earth can help you. So, my friend, everything was declared impossible. I mean, the Wright brothers, their own father said, are you kidding? If God wanted us to fly, he'd have gave us wings like a bird, right? So it was all declared impossible by someone else before it was done. So you just got to break through. Now, Jack Ma, he says, I failed 3 times in college. I applied 30 times to get a job, but I've always been rejected. When KFC came to China for the first time, he said, we were 24 to apply, and I was the only one to be dismissed. I wanted to go into the police and 5 postulates. He said, I was the only one not to be accepted. I applied 10 times, he said, to return to Harvard University, USA, and I was rejected. And this is Jack Ma, the founder and executive chairman of Alibaba Group, number 33 on Forbes World Billionaires, 22 billion. Now that's as of 3/3/2016. So I think he's like the 3rd richest man in the world. So he said, never give up because you failed. Failure plus persistence equals success. So I'm telling you, my friend, if you're going to go from being a mess or mediocre to a master, you got to have a mentorship, but you got to have a mental shift. You got to have the right mindset. And the mindset of a champion is I will until. Ooh, I hope you caught those 3 words. I will until. See, you take the word impossible and take out the I am, and it says possible, my friend. And so you have to understand that. See, sometimes the thing that's holding you back is all in your head. Like, look at this big horse, mule, whatever it is, and just being held by this little rope to a little plastic chair that a 2-year-old could move. And yet he's standing or she's standing still. It's all in the mind. The limiting beliefs, the lies that we've been believing in. And I'm telling you, my friend, you're going to have to break through a lot of those lies if you're going to go from being a mess or mediocre to becoming a master. That's the only difference, my friend. So impossible, Muhammad Ali said, is just a big word thrown around by small men who find it easier to live in the world they've been given than explore the power they have to change it. He said, impossible is not a fact, it's an opinion. Impossible is not a declaration, it's a dare. Impossible is potential. Impossible is temporary. Impossible is nothing.